Kendrick Lamar just ended the game's entire career on live television in front of 120 million people. This wasn't a halftime show. This was a calculated execution. Every lyric, every visual, every single second was designed to destroy one man's legacy forever. And the game had to watch it all happen from his couch. Everybody thought the Super Bowl halftime show was just Kendrick celebrating his hometown, LA's biggest moment, a triumph for West Coast hip-hop. That's what the headline said, that's what casual fans believed, but people who really know this beef, they saw something else entirely. They watched a public assassination disguised as entertainment. New details are surfacing that prove Kendrick's team planned every single element of that performance to send a message. And that message was simple. The game, you're done. Your time is up, and I'm making sure the whole world watches you fade into irrelevance. The whole narrative is twisting right now because insiders are confirming what hip-hop fans suspected all along. Let me break down exactly how Kendrick orchestrated this destruction piece by piece, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. The show opens, the stadium goes dark, and then that sound, the PlayStation controller startup sound, DualShock vibration, button clicks, video game aesthetics flooding the screen. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, the game literally named himself after a video game. His whole identity is wrapped up in Grand Theft Auto, PlayStation culture, gaming references. That's his brand. And Kendrick opened his performance by stealing it, by claiming it, by saying, "This is my game now, and you're just a glitch I deleted from the system." Online detectives immediately started connecting the dots. Fans on Twitter, Reddit, hip-hop forums, they turned into full-blown investigators within minutes of the performance ending. They're slowing down frames, zooming into every visual, analyzing every lyric like they're working for the FBI. And what they found was devastating. The stadium lights flash a massive 100 across the field. Huge, impossible to miss. Now, casual viewers thought it was just a random number, maybe a nod to giving 100% effort. But hip-hop fans, no. The 100 is the title of a music video Drake and the Game filmed together in Compton back in the day. It was the game's attempt to stay relevant by riding Drake's wave, and Kendrick took it. He literally took the game's own reference, his own collaboration, and repurposed it in front of 120 million people. That's not homage, that's theft. That's disrespect on a nuclear level. Then Samuel L. Jackson appears on the screen dressed as Uncle Sam, iconic, legendary, the voice of American cinema, asking one simple question: "Are you ready to play the American game?" And everybody in the stadium screams. But if you really listen to that line, it's a double execution. First, it's mocking the game's entire name. Second, it's a reminder that the game isn't even in the league anymore. He's not playing, he's not invited, he's watching from the sidelines while real legends take the field. But it gets even crazier. Kendrick starts performing, and the lyrics hit different when you know the context. He raps, "I hate people that feel entitled. Look at me crazy cause I ain't invite you." That line pierced through the noise because the game publicly melted down when he wasn't invited to Kendrick's pop-out concert. Every single LA artist got the call. Schoolboy Q, J-Rock, YG, Roddy Ricch, even Tyler the Creator. But the game? Excluded, and he went on podcasts raging about it, claiming he deserved to be there, that he was being disrespected, that Kendrick was playing politics. And now Kendrick addressed it on the Super Bowl stage in front of the world. He didn't just exclude him again, he announced it globally. He made sure everyone knew you're not invited because you're not worthy. Fans started comparing every mannerism, every gesture, every camera angle to past performances. Frame-by-frame breakdowns revealed that Kendrick deliberately avoided certain staging choices the game used in his own shows. Choreography that the game claimed he pioneered, Kendrick did the opposite. It was like watching someone systematically erase another person's artistic fingerprints in real time. And then, the finale. The lights dim during TV off, the crowd pulls out their phone flashlights, and the entire stadium illuminates with two glowing words on the big screen: "Game over." Not just a video game reference, not just a clever play on words, a eulogy, a tombstone, the official death certificate of the game's career signed and delivered on live television during the biggest cultural event of the year. TMZ later reported that the game was actively tweeting during the halftime show, posting throwback pictures with Kendrick, trying to remind people they used to be cool, desperately attempting to insert himself into the narrative. But the contrast was devastating. Kendrick walking the 50-yard line like a king, while the game was home alone, scrolling Twitter, begging for relevance. That's the difference between power and desperation. Think about it. Every single element of that performance was designed to send a message. The PlayStation sounds, the 100 reference, the Samuel L. Jackson cameo, the lyrics about entitlement, the game over finale. This wasn't coincidence. This was strategic warfare disguised as art. Now let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking. This isn't just about one performance. This is about years of tension, lies, desperation, and jealousy that finally exploded on the biggest stage in the world. Rewind to 2022. The Super Bowl is in Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium, home turf. The NFL announces the halftime show lineup: Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, 50 Cent, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. LA legends and hip-hop royalty. But there's one name missing: The Game, and he lost his mind. He went on Big Boy's radio show and straight up said he felt disrespected. He claimed he was too dangerous for the NFL, too real, too controversial. He made it seem like the NFL was scared of him, but the truth, nobody was checking for him. Eminem and 50 Cent performed, and they're not even from LA. That had to sting. The Game watched outsiders take his spot in his own city. That kind of rejection hits different. That kind of public humiliation plants seeds of resentment that grow. And think about the trajectory of both careers. Kendrick went from Section 80 to Good Kid, Mad City to To Pimp a Butterfly to Damn to Mr. Morale. Pulitzer Prize, Drake beef where he dominated, respected by Nas, Jay-Z, and every legend who matters. His influence is undeniable. His pen is untouchable. His status is cemented. Meanwhile, The Game? He peaked with the documentary in 2005. Documentary 2 and 2.5 had moments, but let's keep it real. He never reached that same height again. His relevance started fading. His beef with 50 Cent became his most memorable storyline. He started doing anything for attention. Fake photoshopped pictures with Tupac, lying about discovering Kendrick, claiming he could have signed him to his label, making up stories to stay in conversations. Here's the thing that makes this even worse. Sources close to Top Dog Entertainment allegedly say The Game tried multiple times to reconnect with Kendrick over the years, texting, DMing, reaching out through mutual friends, trying to get a feature, trying to get a cosign, trying to get anything that would boost his fading career. And Kendrick ignored him every single time. Radio silence. That's the coldest form of rejection in this industry. Not even a no, just nothing. Now let's talk money, because that's where the jealousy really festers. Back in his prime, The Game was reportedly pulling in millions. Endorsements, shows, album sales. He was living. But over the years, reports started surfacing about financial struggles, legal issues, child support battles, houses in foreclosure. His lifestyle couldn't keep up with his income anymore. And meanwhile, Kendrick is out here doing P-Lane deals, Super Bowl performances, festival headliners, selling out arenas worldwide. The contrast is brutal. Put all that together, it looks like the perfect recipe for deep-seated envy. The Game watched Kendrick become everything he wished he could be: respected, successful, untouchable. And instead of elevating his own work, he tried to leech off Kendrick's name, dropping his name in interviews, claiming fake connections, acting like they were closer than they actually were. That's not loyalty, that's desperation. And it gets worse for him. Remember when The Game went on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast and claimed he was supposed to be at Kendrick's pop-out concert but decided not to go? Lies. Multiple sources confirmed he was never on the invite list. He wasn't even considered. He tried to save face by pretending it was his choice, but everybody in LA knew the truth. He was excluded, deliberately, and Kendrick made sure of it. This Super Bowl performance was the culmination of all that history. Years of The Game trying to ride coattails, years of lies and fabricated stories, years of disrespect disguised as homage. And Kendrick finally said, enough. He didn't do it with a diss track. He didn't do it with a tweet. He did it on the biggest stage in the world, in front of 120 million people, with every major artist, celebrity, and cultural icon watching. He made The Game's irrelevance official. He didn't just beat him, he erased him. But here's the part that really hits different: the emotional weight of what this means for the game as a person, not just as an artist. Imagine spending your entire career trying to be respected, trying to be acknowledged, trying to prove you belong in the conversation with the greats. You name yourself after a concept that represents competition. You build your whole identity around being in the game, staying in the game, running the game. And then the culture just moves on without you. The game is watching Kendrick live out the dreams he thought were his. He's scrolling through Instagram, seeing the behind-the-scenes footage, the rehearsals, the celebrity reactions, LeBron James posting about it, Rihanna and the crowd, Taylor Swift dancing, the world celebrating Kendrick's moment. And the game is sitting at home, probably in his living room, typing out desperate tweets trying to remind people he exists. That's not just career failure, that's emotional devastation. That's watching someone younger, more talented, and more respected take everything you thought you deserved, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't rap better, you can't outperform, you can't out-influence, you're just watching, powerless. And here's what makes it even more tragic. The game genuinely believed he was on Kendrick's level. He convinced himself that the only reason he wasn't getting the same opportunities was politics, gatekeeping, industry bias. He never accepted the real truth, that Kendrick is simply better. Better writer, better performer, better artist, better legacy. And this Super Bowl performance was the moment that truth became undeniable to everyone, including the game himself. Think about the psychological impact. Every time the game hears "all right now," he's reminded of the pop-out concert he wasn't invited to. Every time someone mentions the Super Bowl, he's reminded of 2022 when he got left out and 2025 when Kendrick used the stage to bury him. Every time he sees the phrase "game over," he's reminded that Kendrick turned his own name into a symbol of his defeat. That's the kind of trauma that doesn't go away. That's the kind of loss that defines the rest of your career. And honestly, part of me feels for him, because ambition without the talent to back it up is a painful existence. Wanting respect you haven't earned is torture. The game wanted to be Kendrick so badly, but he never put in the work. He never evolved, he never grew. He stayed stuck in 2005 while the culture moved forward, and now he's paying the price. This isn't just about rap beef. This is about watching someone's entire identity collapse in real time. And Kendrick made sure that collapse happened on the world's biggest stage. Now let's dive even deeper into the evidence, because the more you analyze this performance, the more layers of disrespect you uncover. Online detectives have been working overtime, and what they're finding is absolutely insane. First, let's talk about the guest list. Kendrick brought out some of the biggest names in West Coast hip-hop, but more importantly, let's talk about who he didn't bring out. The game wasn't just excluded from performing, he wasn't even invited to attend as a guest. Reports from people who were at SoFi Stadium confirm that the game's name wasn't on any VIP list. He couldn't even get a ticket to watch from the stands. Meanwhile, artists with way less LA credibility were sitting courtside. That's intentional disrespect. Fans started cross-referencing Kendrick's setlist with the game's past interviews, and the parallels are devastating. Remember when the game said on the Drink Champs podcast that Not Like Us should have featured him because he's the king of LA diss tracks? Kendrick performed Not Like Us at the Super Bowl and made sure the game's name was nowhere near it. That's a direct response to his delusional claims. Let's talk about the choreography. Online breakdowns reveal that Kendrick's staging deliberately mirrored elements from the game's old performances, but flipped them. The game used to walk through crowds of dancers representing gang culture. Kendrick did the same thing, but with a message of unity and evolution. It's like he took the game's aesthetic, upgraded it, and showed the world this is how it's supposed to be done. That's not just performance art, that's cultural correction. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. Online audio engineers started analyzing the sound mixing of the broadcast. During certain moments of the performance, you can hear faint audio layers that sound like deleted verses. Fans are speculating that Kendrick recorded alternate lyrics that were even more direct in calling out the game, but the NFL made him tone it down for broadcast standards. If that's true, that means the version we saw was the censored version. The full, unfiltered performance was apparently even more brutal. Imagine what got left out. Let's talk about the visual symbolism. The stage design featured a massive X-shaped platform. Fans immediately pointed out that X is the Roman numeral for 10, which represents perfection and completion, but it's also the symbol for deletion, cancellation, erasure. Kendrick literally stood on a symbol that represents ending something while performing songs that metaphorically ended the game's career. The production team didn't just throw together random visuals. Every single element had meaning. TMZ dropped footage of the game at a Super Bowl viewing party in LA. He's surrounded by people, but if you watch closely, you can see his face. He's not celebrating, he's not vibing, he's watching, observing, and you can see the exact moment during TV off when the game over graphic appears. His expression shifts. It's subtle, but it's there. That's the face of someone watching their worst fear come true in real time. That's the face of defeat. Social media detectives also found something wild. The game posted a throwback photo with Kendrick exactly 30 minutes before the halftime show started. The caption was something generic like LA stand up with crown emojis, but the timing is what's suspicious. It's like he knew what was about to happen and tried to get ahead of it, tried to remind people they used to be cool, tried to create a narrative that they're still connected. But it backfired because after the performance, people started commenting on that same post with game over emojis and laughing faces. His own attempt to stay relevant became a meme mocking his irrelevance. Industry insiders are also saying that Kendrick's team reached out to several media outlets before the Super Bowl with context for the performance. They allegedly provided background information on the beef, the pop-out concert exclusion, and the game's history of lying about their relationship. This means the media was primed to cover the story from Kendrick's perspective. That's strategic public relations warfare. Kendrick didn't just perform, he controlled the narrative before, during, and after the show. And here's the kicker. Spotify data shows that after the Super Bowl, streams for Kendrick's entire catalog skyrocketed. Meanwhile, the game's streaming numbers actually dropped. People weren't even hate listening out of curiosity, they just forgot about him. That's the coldest outcome possible. Not anger, not controversy, just complete and total indifference. Now, this whole situation gets even crazier when you realize this isn't just about Kendrick and the game. This is about a bigger pattern in hip-hop where legends get exposed for being frauds, and the culture has no mercy. Let's talk about the game's history of fabrication, because this Super Bowl moment didn't happen in a vacuum. This man has been caught lying so many times that his credibility was already on life support before Kendrick pulled the plug. Remember the photoshopped Tupac picture? The game posted a photo claiming he met Tupac as a kid. Fans immediately spotted the terrible editing. The lighting didn't match, the proportions were off, it was clearly fake. And when he got called out, he tried to play it off like it was a tribute and people misunderstood. But nah, that was a lie designed to boost his legend status by associating himself with Pac. That's pathetic. Then there's the whole "I discovered Kendrick" lie. The game went on multiple podcasts claiming he tried to sign Kendrick to his Black Wall Street label back in the day. He made it sound like Kendrick was some unknown kid who he gave a shot to. Completely false. Top Dog Entertainment representatives have publicly stated that the game was never involved in Kendrick's early career. They never had meetings, there was no almost signing. The game just made it up to insert himself into the Kendrick's origin story. And Kendrick never publicly responded, until now. The Super Bowl was the response. There's also the situation with his fake beef attempts. The game has tried to start beef with so many artists over the years just to stay relevant. Meek Mill, Sean Kingston, Beanie Sigel, even Jay-Z at one point. But none of them took the bait because everybody knows his strategy. He's not looking for real competition, he's looking for attention. He's looking for someone's name to attach himself to. That's not hip-hop, that's parasitic behavior. Let's talk about his podcast appearances, because that's where a lot of this desperation really shows. The game has done interviews with Drink Champs, $1 Million Worth of Game, Big Boy's Neighborhood, and more. And in every single one, he finds a way to bring up Kendrick, Drake, or some other relevant artist. He can't talk about his own work without name-dropping someone more successful. That's a clear sign of someone who knows their own brand isn't strong enough to stand alone. Meanwhile, fans online been working like full-blown investigators, digging through old interviews and finding contradictions in the game's stories. He'll say one thing on one podcast, then completely contradict himself on another. He claimed he was close with Dr. Dre on one show, then admitted they barely speak on another. He said he turned down the 2022 Super Bowl on one platform, then said he was too controversial to be invited on another. Which one is it? The lies don't even line up anymore. And this story is still unfolding because there's speculation that other artists are watching this situation and taking notes. If you're someone who's been lying about your connections, fabricating your influence, or trying to ride someone else's success, you're watching the game's public destruction and sweating. Because Kendrick just set a precedent. If you come for the crown with fake credentials, you'll get exposed on the biggest stage possible. Even people in the industry who have no connection to this beef are talking about it. Producers, managers, media executives, everybody is calling this the most brutal public career execution they've ever seen. Because it wasn't done with violence, it wasn't done with diss tracks, it was done with art, symbolism, and cultural power. That's a level of dominance most artists will never achieve. What we're seeing here is bigger than one performance or one beef. This is about accountability in hip-hop. This is about the culture finally rejecting frauds, liars, and clout chasers who've been getting away with fake narratives for too long. The game represents a dying breed of artist who thinks volume equals relevance. He thought if he talked loud enough, posted enough, name-dropped enough, he could force people to respect him. But Kendrick just proved that real power is quiet. Real influence doesn't need to be announced. Real respect is earned through work, not through words. The bigger conversation this performance sparks is about legacy. What do you want to be remembered for? Do you want to be remembered as someone who constantly tried to attach themselves to greatness? Or do you want to be remembered as someone who created their own greatness? The game chose the former, and now he's watching his legacy crumble in real time. This also raises questions about the responsibility of platforms. Podcasts kept giving the game space to spread lies. Interviewers let him make false claims without pushback. Media outlets published his statements without fact-checking. And now we're seeing the consequences. Misinformation spreads fast in this industry, and when someone with a platform abuses it, the culture will correct itself. Kendrick's Super Bowl performance was that correction. For younger artists coming up, this is a lesson. Don't try to shortcut your way to respect. Don't fabricate connections. Don't ride waves that aren't yours. Build your own, because the internet never forgets, and eventually the truth comes out. And when it does, if you've been lying the whole time, the fallout will be catastrophic. This performance is also a statement about excellence. Kendrick didn't just show up and perform, he created a moment. He created art that will be studied, analyzed, and referenced for decades. Meanwhile, the game's biggest moments are controversies and beefs. One artist is building a legacy, the other is desperately trying to stay in the conversation. The difference is stark. And honestly, this might be the moment hip-hop needed. For years, the culture has been polluted with fake narratives, clout chasing, and manufactured beef for attention. Kendrick just reminded everybody what real artistry looks like, what real power looks like, what happens when you focus on the craft instead of the clout. That's a message the entire industry needed to hear. The game situation is a wild example, but it's also a warning for anybody with a platform. If you build your career on lies, eventually someone with real power will expose you. And when they do, there's no coming back. No apology will fix it. No explanation will save you. You'll just become a cautionary tale. And that's exactly what the game is now. So where does the game go from here? Because let's be real, there's no coming back from this. His career isn't just damaged, it's obliterated. And the scary part? He did most of it to himself. Industry insiders are saying that labels won't touch him anymore. His name is too toxic. His credibility is too damaged. Artists don't want to collaborate because associating with him is career suicide at this point. Even his die-hard fans are starting to distance themselves because nobody wants to defend someone who's been exposed this thoroughly. Some fans are speculating that this was also a message to Drake. Remember, Kendrick bodied Drake in the Not Like Us beef, and by performing that song at the Super Bowl, by dominating the biggest stage in the world, he's reminding everyone who's really running hip-hop right now. The game was just collateral damage in Kendrick's larger demonstration of power. There's also talk that other artists who've had issues with Kendrick are shook right now, because if he'll do this to the game on the Super Bowl stage, what will he do to you if you cross him? That's the kind of fear that real power creates. That's the kind of respect you can't fake. People online are saying the game's only option now is to reinvent himself completely.
Maybe go into podcasting full-time. Maybe focus on business ventures. Maybe disappear for a few years and come back with a humility arc. But even that feels impossible because his ego won't allow it. He's too deep in the character he created. He can't admit he was wrong. He can't admit he was lying. He can't admit he was never on Kendrick's level. And that pride is going to keep him trapped in this downward spiral. The saddest part? This was all avoidable. If the game had just stayed in his lane, respected Kendrick's greatness, and focused on his own legacy, none of this would have happened. But he couldn't help himself. He had to lie. He had to exaggerate. He had to try to steal shine that was never his. And now he's paying the ultimate price: irrelevance. This whole situation just proves that in hip-hop, the truth always comes out eventually. You can lie for a while, you can fake it for a season, but real talent and real power will always expose the frauds.
Kendrick Lamar didn't just perform at the Super Bowl, he made a statement. He sent a message to everyone watching. If you're real, you'll be celebrated. If you're fake, you'll be exposed. And the game just became the biggest example of what happens when you choose the latter. This story is far from over though. More details are going to keep dropping, more reactions are going to surface, more industry insiders are going to speak out now that the floodgates are open. Some people are saying the game might do a tell-all interview trying to defend himself. Others think he'll just go silent and hope people forget. But with how viral this has become, there's no forgetting. This is history now. So, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the game can ever recover from this, or is his career officially done? Do you think Kendrick planned all of this from the beginning? And what do you think the game should do next? I want to hear from you because this conversation is just getting started. Make sure you smash that like button if you made it this far. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're covering every single development in this story as it unfolds. More footage is dropping, more reactions are coming, and I'm going to break down everything for you right here. I appreciate you rocking with me through this whole deep dive. This was a long one, but it needed to be because this story is massive. The game is done, Kendrick is unstoppable, and hip-hop just witnessed one of the coldest public executions in history. Stay safe out there, stay real, and remember, the internet never forgets, and neither does Kendrick Lamar. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.